Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? This is Faith James, your host. This is the Brand Momentum Morning Show, and I want to wish everybody a beautiful, blessed day today. So if you're live in the studio with me, come on in, say hi, let me know you're here so I can address you by name, and share this video. We're going to be talking about how to align to your authenticity. And this is something that I think everybody needs to hear. Good morning, beautiful Jacqueline. Thanks for joining. That everybody needs to hear, and it's such the key to building your brand. It's such the key to being in the truth of who you are. Good morning, beautiful Amber. Thanks for joining. So share this video, start a watch party. Use the title. Are you aligned to your authenticity? And let's get started. So we're in the section where it's talking about the authentic self. So Stephen Pressfield, again, The War of Art, starts off by asking the question, do you have kids? Then you know that not one of them popped out as a tabula rasa, a blank slate. Each one came into this world with a distinct and unique personality, an identity so set that you can fling stardust in great balls of fire at it and not morph it by one microdot. So that means we all have, just like we all have our individual unique fingerprints, when we come into this earth, we know God's already named us and counted the hairs on our head. He knew the plans for a life even before we were born. So this is when people say God makes no mistakes. The plan for your life has already been set before you were even created. I want everybody to catch this. Each kid was who he was. Even identical twins constituted of the same exact genetic material were radically different from day one and always would be. Personally, I'm with Wordsmith. Our birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. The soul that rises with us, our life's star, hath had elsewhere its setting, and cometh from afar, not in entire forgetfulness, and not in utter nakedness, but trailing clouds of glory do we come from God, who is our home. In other words, he goes on to say, none of us are born passive, generic blobs waiting for the world to stamp its imprint on us. Instead, we show up possessing already a highly refined and individuated soul. Another way of thinking of this, we were not born with unlimited choices. Now, this part really got me because, a lot of times we say to our kids or anybody, you can be anything you want to be. Pressfield has a different take on it. He says, we can't be anything we want to be. We come into this world with a specific personal destiny. We have a job to do, a calling to enact, a self to become. We are who we are from the cradle, and we're stuck with it. Our job in this lifetime is not to shape ourselves into something or someone ideal we imagined we ought to be, but to find out who we are and become it. If we were born to paint, it's our job to become a painter. If we were born to raise and nurture children, it's our job to become a mother. If we were born to overthrow the order of ignorance and injustice in the world, it is our job to realize it and get down to business. Wow, wow, wow. Let me say good morning to the people. Good morning, Deb. Thanks for joining. Beautiful. Good morning, Brenda. I see your name now, honey. Yay, it worked. Wonderful. Good morning, Rose. How are you, beautiful? Long time no see. I mean, can we just pause on that for a minute? You can't be anything you want to be, says Pressfield. You have to become the thing you were created to be. Good morning, Ellen. Thanks for joining. Wow, right? Let me know how that's landing for you, because it's right. It's so different from what we've been brought up with and told. And so this is why oftentimes many people go around just wandering, searching, trying to do this and that, and they do this and this and that, as opposed to taking the quiet time to go within, to ask God, what would you have me do? Right? 1 minute we're doing this, then we're this, right? We've seen it, as opposed to, what am I here to do? Find out the mission. Yes, we must pause. I forget who said this quote. Was it Jefferson or who? This is escaping me now. But the idea being, if you only had an hour to chop down trees, he would take 45 minutes sharpening his axe, and then the remaining 15 just chopping trees. Do you guys get that? So as opposed to, oh my, you think, even if you see this in like runners, people who don't know how to run long distances, they don't understand that strategy. They just like bust out of the starting gate and they're gone, go, 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 go. And then what? They filter, fade out after a time. The strategy is pause, sharpen your blade. Now you're ready. You have the right tool at the right depth, at the right level of sharpness to cut down 100 trees in 15 minutes, as opposed to the person who starts whacking and wailing. And by the 20th tree, here comes the axe getting duller and duller and duller. Now you've probably only gotten to maybe a half or a quarter of what somebody else did, who slowed down, who paused, sharpened their axe, and then went about the business of getting the business done. We can't be anything we want to be. Our quest must to become the thing that God created us to be. Wow. Because God has a master plan. So this is what happens. It's like, I'm going to do this. How many times you've heard somebody say, oh, well, so-and-so in my family was a nurse, so that's what I'm going to be that too. When I was just enrolling in Hunter College in New York, so that's where I got my communications degree, my first was like, yep, I'm going to be into the nursing program, because I thought it was the thing to do. I'd heard so many times, like, when you have a job in medicine, any kind of area in the medical field, you're never out of a job. There's always high demand, right, for people in the medical community. So that was my leading thought, like, ooh, okay, so I'm going to be a nurse. Then this way I'll always be employed, always have a job. God did not create me to be a nurse. And glory to God that I got that awakening before year one of my studies were completed, because then I had changed and declared a new major, and my major was communication. I was gifted, anointed with the gift of encouragement. In the Bible talks about people have different gifts. I have the gift of encouragement. That is my life's sole purpose. Good morning, Lori. Thanks for joining, my love. Yeah, we go into places and things because we think that, it was in the family and that's what we should do, or we have other plans. But the only plan, the only master plan that matters is the plan that God has created for you before you were born. So, Ellen, that's a great question. Wouldn't this be classified as limiting belief? So such a great question. So here's the thing, right? We all have our zone of geniuses. Yes, are we multifaceted? Are we multi-passionate? Can we do many things? But you want to be in flow. I wish Karen was on this morning. In her program, Phoenix Rising Confidence Igniting, we look at the vibrational scale, and the higher you're vibrating, the closer you're getting to enlightenment. That's actually like the top frequency. That's when you're like connected and aligned to source. Flow, like, so if, let's say, if this is enlightenment, flow is kind of here. There's gratitude and peace and a few other things, love. When you're in flow, do you know what that feels like? Think about when you constrict a hose. That pressure builds up, right? It's not natural for a hose to be kinked. A hose is meant to be elongated so the river can go. So the water can go. Same thing with the river. Right? When you dam up a river, you're causing pressure on toll. This is why, in Florida, we have so many issues with, red tide, because they've dammed up the river, and then it creates other problems. So it's not to say that it can't be done. Sure, we can muscle and might our way into areas, right? I used to work at the Gap. I used to be a Zumba instructor. I was in IT. Hello, I was in IT as a tech auditor for BDO Seidman, one of the top auditing firms in the world. Did I do it? Yes. Did I do it well? Yes. But that wasn't flow. Flow is when you just have a sense of joie de vivre, where it just comes out of you. It's easy. You make it look good. You make it look easy. This is the anointing on your life. It's not fighting and struggling. And when you can tell, if you're trying to do a thing and it's not just coming out of you, that's how you know you're barking up the wrong tree. You're climbing up the wrong hill. Of course, there are many things that we can do. You want to be in flow. Flow, the ideas come down from source, God, creation, into you. When you're fighting and pushing and tugging, no bueno. Good morning, Dina. Beautiful. How are you? Oh my gosh. Lori, my love, I want you to know that that is an untrue statement. What I want you to think about is that to say, I haven't yet discovered my gifts. God makes no mistakes. He flung stars and the moon and the planets into the universe. Do you think he couldn't give you a gift that was like too hard for him? He was like, oh, that Lori, I don't know what to do. She stumped me. I have no gifts for her. Send her out as she is. No, ma'am. You need to reframe that, relanguage that. I have not yet discovered my gift. And so when you get intentional, when you connect and you ask, God, what would you have me do? Show me the way. Jesus says you have not because you ask not. You've got to ask for guidance. You've got to ask for determination. But let me tell you, my love, if I'm the first person to tell you this, you have gifts untold. We are God's finest creation, his masterpiece. Masterpiece. Not just, it's okay, it was good. Masterpiece. I am a masterpiece. I want everybody to say this wherever you are within the sound of my voice. I am a masterpiece. I am a masterpiece. I am a masterpiece. Your job to do is to get aligned to that, because it's here. God's already created it, right? We're here. we have to get aligned to it. So then we're in flow. Then we're doing the thing that is just easy. How to develop vibration. Yep. Definitely one of the ways that you can do that. Certainly meditation is another way that you can do that. Certainly just getting quiet, guys. Listen, sometimes when you think about this idea of meditation and vibration, and it sounds like it's all, foreign to you, but when you just can get quiet and go inside and ask, what would you have me do? Where am I to go? That's all that's required, because I said this yesterday in the show. When you make a decision, you make a definite decision and say, yes, I'm committed. I'm going to do this. So your commitment will be, I am committed to finding my purpose that God has given me on this earth. Providence moves in your direction. This is Jesus. Here I stand, knocking at the door, waiting for someone to let me in. And then I will dine with him and he will dine with me. We've got to answer the door. Jesus is knocking. He's calling. Answer it. Skill set with a lack of flow. I think it would be easy to mix up. I'm sure you meant skill. Yeah, skill set with the lack of flow. So here's the thing with that. So everything's not just going to come like this, like straight away, right? You understand that if you're saying, I want to go from here to Los Angeles, unless we have mastered the ability of astral travel and quantum leaping through time space continuum, we can't just get to there, right? We know we've got to get on a plane, and it'll take us about 6 hours, 5 hours to get there, or we can drive, cross country Route 66, but it's going to take us a minute to get there. Yes, yes. But you want to know that you have that destination in mind, that you're on the right track. You're getting closer and you're getting closer. I shared this, I think it was last week, we talked about the professional. The professional has patience. The professional has patience. We understand that things have a certain period of gestation. In fact, there's one of the universal laws that talks about the law of gestation. If you're a mom and you've always wanted to be a mom and you found out, great news, I'm pregnant, you're not the next day going to be, where's my baby? It's a scam. The doctor told me I was pregnant and I bought all these, folic acids and stuff, and I didn't give birth the next day. It's a total scam. All right, that sounds like crazy, but that's what we don't understand. Good morning, Karen. I was just talking about you, but we don't understand that universal law of the gestation that says everything has a time and place for when the magic unfolds. And so while the magic is unfolding, we've got to hustle while we wait. That's what a professional does. That's how you get through resistance. Because if you're like, listen, I can run, right? I can run to LA. That's possible. I can walk to LA. I can bike to LA. I can row to LA. But if you think about what's going to be the easiest way, the way that gets you most flow, you just get on a jet plane and go. So it's the end journey of where you want to get to that should be the focus, right? What are you here to do? And it will be revealed to you. So it's not to say you walk out of the womb and right away you know it. You don't. It has to be revealed to you, but you have to always be in this place of asking, not being afraid to take steps, right? Not being afraid to make a decision. To listen, one time, guys, when I was in university, I worked for Mitsubishi Textiles. What does it have to do with my life? Zero, right? But I wasn't afraid to do these different things because I knew I was on a journey. I knew I was on a path of finding my space. Did I have a wonderful time working at that company while I was in college? Sure. But when you have that knowing, you know, like that this is not the stop. It's sort of like when you're on the trains, like you're in New York City or wherever, London, wherever, and you're next stop Bleecker Street, but you know you're going to Queens, and you know Bleecker Street is still in the city. So you're not like, oh my God, to get off here, it's Bleecker Street. No. Okay, it's Bleecker. Next stop is going to be Bowery. Next this, then we go under, the Hudson, and then we're, still on our journey. So I want you to really think about, how do you feel right now? Do you feel, if I were to ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, and I want to see these in the comments, do you feel you're in flow? You feel you are aligned to the calling on your life? And there's no judgment on this. I just want you to get a measure of where you are, because until you know, this is it. This is the thing that you're supposed to do. This is the thing that you have so much ease and grace with, that you just get so many people saying, oh my gosh, you're so great at this. Like, so many people are better off for knowing you doing this thing than if you weren't. That's how you can start to have a signal, a clue, right? This is how God communicates with you. Still small voice, connecting to your heart, asking, getting quiet, meditating, asking and asking. I love it. Yes, on the right track. And I love that Amber says that, right? Yes, she's on the right track. She didn't say, yes, I've hit the destination. I'm on the right track. Because when you think about the authenticity of what it is that you are here to do, and you get aligned with that, you attract so many people to you, because they feel it oozing out of you. This is why, for me, this work that I do, I literally, there's sometimes I have to like pull myself back, because it's like, okay, you need a break. You need to like take a nap. You need to go to sleep. I could do this thing for hours untold. And that's a question you want to ask yourself. This thing that I'm doing right now, can I see myself doing this thing 5 years from now? Can I see myself doing this thing 10 years from now? Am I going to feel like I am in the highest place of my being if 20 years from now I'm still doing this thing? That's how you get clues of where you're supposed to be. So it's not, I can do all things. Yes, we know we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Yes. But I think what Pressfield is trying to offer up is that the better way is to get in line with what it is that you're here to do. I've used this analogy before. I will use it again. Good morning, Julia. Thanks for joining, my love. When Jesus and his 12, and everybody has, again, here it is now, the calling, the anointing on their life, the mission. What is it that they're here to do? Peter, right, his day one, was given the assignment, the calling, the mission to go spread the good news to the Jewish people. Paul, formerly known as Saul, who was trying to kill all Christians, got the mission, the calling, the anointing to go spread the news, the good news, to the non-Jewish people. Now, do we think Peter, Jesus's day one, upon whom, right, all big responsibilities of sending the message, going all over creation with Jesus, fell? Do you think Peter was not able, did he not have the ability, the skill set to spread the news to the non-Jewish people? Right? So this is, I think, getting back to Ellen's question about whether getting focused and aligned kind of falls into limiting belief. Do we think Peter, and I'm asking a question, do we think Peter had the ability to also spread good news to the non-Jewish people? Like, do you think he had the skill set to be able to do that? Of course he did. Of course, he did. I mean, you think about all the things, even Peter, when he was gifted with the Holy Spirit, was like, healing people. So almost having this, same power from God above. So the answer is yes, Peter could have. So the fact that he didn't get the assignment to do message to the non-Jewish people is not about him either not having the ability or the willingness. It's what is the assignment? What are you uniquely qualified to do? When you think about a race team and somebody gets the role of anchoring the relay, do you think that person can't run the first position? They can't run the second leg or the third? Of course they can. They're trained sprinters and runners. But what is that person uniquely qualified to do? What is that person anchored in their soul that they can burst with the speed of a cheetah from a starting block and run? The person who can do that time and time again with ease and grace anchors the relay. They bring it home. You ever heard some people that this is the closer, right? They're things that we were gifted with. It's not to say we can't do 10 other different things, but you find more ease and grace when you get into, you've heard the saying, your wheelhouse. When you do the thing that is just easy, flow, comes from here, burning desire, fire in the belly. That's where we want to be. So the way you get there is, thanks, Ellen. Yes. Well, because listen, again, that's one of the superpowers, one of the gifting, because I have the gift of encouragement. I know that if I'm going to transport people from one place of knowing to another place of knowing, I have to make it understandable. I have to communicate it in such a way that everybody gets it. So the analogies are divinely downloaded to me. And I thank you for recognizing that. And I just think that the more we can ask, so don't see it as like shirking a responsibility. Yeah, I say this to one of my clients all the time, not because you can do something means you should. Because that's when she was getting in trouble. Oh, but I'm good at this and I can do this. I said, not because you can do it means you should. It's the reason why specialists exist. It's the reason why if you have a challenge with your brain, you're looking for a neurosurgeon. You're not looking for a general MD who does pediatric on the weekends and who watched some orthopedic videos on YouTube. You're looking for the person who's aligned to their gifting, who can see the brain and see the patterns and know exactly what's going on and know exactly what it is that ails you and how to fix you. Be in your gifting, be in the authenticity of what you were created to be, not what we think we want to be, and certainly not what we think other people put on us, because that's where a lot of that heaviness comes from, when we're not, aligned in who we're supposed to be, because we're taking what our parents said, what our, elders or whomever, people who had influence over us at a younger age. You should go be a doctor, go be a lawyer. Those are respectable, decent jobs. And sure, do you have the intellect? Can you study? Can you take a test? Absolutely. Can you defend a dissertation? Yeah. But it's why when you see people who were in, corporations and now they're like running, a charity event across the world, because they've landed into their calling. They've landed into the place where they're in ease and flow. So I love this. Karen says she's totally aligned. That's perfect. Lori, thank you for the transparency. Lori says she's at a 2, and Lori had said initially that she didn't think she had any gifts. And I offered up a reframing of that to say, I haven't yet discovered my gifts, but please know that God is able. He is the Alpha, the Omega. He can do all things, has done all things, will do all things. He's already given you a gift. It's what he does. That's why he called you his masterpiece. And so Lori's going to be about the business of getting quiet and asking. for guidance and direction of where her flow is. So think about where you are right now. I asked this question on my LinkedIn the other day. It was one of the questions of the day, which is, are you in love? Are you in love with the thing that you're doing? Or are you trying your level best to love it? As we come up on the month of love, we're going to be talking about self-love and love of your work and love of the way you serve when we get into February. So I just want to tee that up here right now. This is the question to ask yourself. Are you in love? And you know what it is like to feel that you're in love. It's like butterflies and you're giddy and you're excited and you're in anticipation and ideas come to you. You're like, ooh, and I could do this. You're in yes and. You're not in yes but land. You're yes and I can do this and I can do and I can do. All right? Ask yourself that question. Are you in love with the thing that you're doing? Whatever it is that you're doing right now, are you in love? Another way to think about it. So these are questions I'm giving you that I want you to go reflect on this weekend. Are you in love with the thing that you're doing? Can you see yourself doing this thing that you're doing right now, 20 years into the future? Are you always thinking about the thing that you're doing? Meaning, I've said this to my clients before. I said, I am never not thinking about my brand and branding everywhere I go. This is why when we're in the Brand Accelerator program, and if you are not in the Accelerator program, which is the digital course, plus it's in the private Facebook group, the Brand Accelerator Lounge, where I'm working with all of the accelerators and we're doing challenges and we're working on our brands and we're just doing everything to really get into momentum, then I want you to comment Accelerator. Just comment that below if you're not in and you want to learn some more about it. I'm just going to say to you, if you're not in, you need to get in, because this is going to be one of the best things that you can do to help you gain some clarity, because there's a process that we do where we talk about how do you identify where your focus needs to be. And so some of the questions are like this. What would get you up on a Saturday morning at 3 a.m. when it's cold and rainy outside? And then you're going to ask yourself, is the thing that I'm doing in that list, right? So for me, Saturday, it's rainy, it's 3 a.m., but we're going on an international flight to Paris, to London, to Rome, to Guadalupe. It doesn't matter. We live to travel. So, yep, we're getting up. We love that, right? Is somebody say, oh, we have like an indoor tennis thing and we're going to have this. Yep, I'm getting up for that because I love to play tennis. So you want to do this with all areas of your life. Let's see here. I was raised by a mom that was a realist, not overly negative, but it is negative. Yes. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Because, your parents are well-intended, they're only working with what they know. Thank God for personal development and growth that we can learn these things right now. But when they impart to you, go be a nurse. You should do that, right? It's their own scarcity. It's their own fears of things that either they couldn't or would never dare to think of doing. And they're thinking that they're protecting you, but it's really just projecting their own stuff onto you. So this is why I would say we have to just stand in the truth. We have to stand in the truth of who we are. And I can't even tell you how many times my mom has said to me, like, right, because I've been in corporate 25 plus years working for all sorts of different brands, advertising agencies, et cetera. And then when the recession happened, 2008, and I got laid off, and then I started consulting. And then I got a contract gig with a company and was doing work, but still on a contract basis. And I can't tell you how many times it's like, aren't you going to ask them for a full-time job? Aren't you going to ask them for a full-time job? Aren't you going to go get a real job? Right? How many people have heard go get a real job? Aren't you going to go get a real job? Even for the longest time, my then fiance, now my husband, were like, oh, right, we need to get a job. We need to get a job. But here's the thing. God put the anointing and the vision in me. He didn't put it in them. So I have to give them grace, right? As much as my husband loves me long time, He is not Mr. Entrepreneur. I have had to hold the line more times than I can count with regard to building this company and building this business. Glory to God. Now he's fully on board Team Faith, biggest cheerleader. But for the longest time, I had to hold my line. I had to stand in my truth because I knew this was the alignment. Because here was the test. Even when I'm working super hard hours, long and hard, it's nothing to me because I know I'm on the right track, to use Amber's line. I know I'm on the right track, and I know that a rocket, right, that's about to launch, a rocket burns 90% of its fuel at liftoff. Let me say that again for the people in the back. A rocket burns 90% of its fuel just to lift off. But guess what? They're not worried. They're not scared. They're going to run out of fuel because guess what? Once you hit outer space and then you're into orbit, now you're just like kick back. It's like the joie de vie. Now we're just like easy breezy. Gravitational pull no more. Now we're in orbit. When you're in your alignment, you're in orbit. It's like this. Everything is just like flow. It's like Tai Chi. Like I just felt like I did a Tai Chi move. Everything is just in flow. No friction, no nothing. You're just moving. You're just being and you're moving. When I think I shared that, I don't know if I shared this in my other group, there was this TikTok video that I saw, and it was this woman. She was like a call center person, and she, was like her hair was nicely done. She had her nice cup of like morning coffee, and she's, doing her calls, and it's like, good morning, mistress, whatever. Thank you for calling. But how may I help you? And she's like bright and cheery. And then the video cuts to them. Now she's like this, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We do have payment options, but those are not available to you at this time. Then it cuts to, then now her wig is off. Now instead of coffee, now she's pouring vodka, and she's just told like, ma'am, right? That's not somebody who's in flow, loving what they do. So you ask yourself the question, are you in love? In love. I'm not saying, yeah, he's cute. I like him. He's okay. Or maybe I'll go on a second. No, I want to marry him. I am going to marry him. Are you in love with what you're doing? Because that's your first clue. Because if it was exactly where you were supposed to be, the magnetic pull on you and this thing would be so irresistible that, again, like I said, ideas keep coming to you. You're always building, always creating, always talking about it. Can you see yourself doing the thing that you're doing 20 years from now? If not, I want to invite you to do this work this weekend. Just get a blank sheet of paper at the top. What do I love? What's going to get me up on a Saturday morning at 3:00? What would you get up to go do? That's how you get a clue of where your heart is calling you. Because the minute that you connect with what the heart's desire is, magic. When you're thinking and you're heart and you're pulling and you're tugging and you're fighting and just like, you know. Let's see, Brenda says, I'm aligned and in love with what I'm doing. I've made some changes and I'm much more aligned right now. Great. And so that's what'll happen, right? We'll get new information. So I'm not saying it's like this, once you find it, like it's this thing, right? Even within my company, I started off doing certain programs that I've since either stopped doing or changed or evolved because I found, right, a new, different, better program for my people, but we're still, right? We're still in the flow. We're still doing things. So it's not this rigid thing, but as long as you can answer, are you in love with the thing that you do? Because here's the thing. When challenges arise, and challenges will arise, because Jesus already told us, in this world you will have problems, but be of good cheer, he continues, because I've sorted it all out. But the problems will come. The challenges will come. And I want to invite you to see challenges and problems as just an opportunity for you to solve something. It's not here to defeat you. It's here to strengthen you. And sometimes when we meet up on a little bit of challenge, we think, oh, it's in the wrong direction. No, you're just passing through this area that's all cornfield in Illinois or Iowa. Keep going. New York is due north. You'll start to see freeway and BQE and all those things will start to come into your view. But you keep going. So I want to hear from you. Good morning, Bonita. Yes. Are you in love with what you're doing? That's what we're talking about. Getting into true alignment with what God created you to do on this earth. Stephen Pressfield's book talks about the fact that we're not supposed to do anything we want. We're supposed to do and be and become what God created us to be and become. I tell the story about Jonah all the time. When God said, this is where I want you to go. You were created to go preach against the people in Nineveh. And Jonah wasn't feeling it. He was like, you know what? Nope, I'm going to take a cruise. I'm going to go over here. I have a couple other things I want to do, some people I want to see. So it's like, peace out, God, deuces. And he left. And this is why when I say to you, when it's a pull and a push and a tug, and it's just like, ah. So he left, jumped on his cruise ship, went where in the world he went. And what happened? All sorts of challenges, all sorts of problems. The people realized he was a problem, that the ship was, losing its rudder. It was going to sink. They tossed him overboard. It was like, oh, you're the problem? Oh, you must be gone. Then here comes the whale, swallowed in vomit, dead fish, putrid fish, dead eaten fish for days, weeks. That's where he's hanging out for 3 days. Spit up onto the island. Now he's totally shattered, wrecked and ruined, and he stinks. But then what happened in the end? He still ended up going where God told him to go preach against the people in Nineveh. So this is that analogy and that story from the Bible to show you, if you just first say, where do you want me to go? And what do I need to do to be prepared? Because sometimes we have this fear because we don't feel prepared. And this is what I always say to you, that your confidence and how you show up, because a lot of times there's this fear of like, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't have the word. Your confidence comes from preparedness. You see me here flowing with no script, with no nothing, no prep, no nothing. That comes from tenure in the position. I've been at this game for 25 plus years, doing this for major Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 brands. I have always had to be studied in my craft. So that's just a virtue. That's just a character trait of mine. I'm not mailing anything in. I'm coming prepared because I'm coming to serve the people and I'm going to serve the people well. So in my off time, I'm reading. In my off time, I'm watching videos. I'm watching webinars. I'm learning. I'm taking courses. I'm with mentors. I just signed on with a new mentor. I am always in the posture of learning and being studied, because when that preparedness then gets coupled with opportunity, there comes your magic. There comes what people sometimes class as luck. It's not luck. I was prepared. This is why I always say, build a stay ready brand so you never have to get ready, right? So sometimes we use our own lack of preparedness and say, oh no, that's not the thing we should have been doing, but it's not flowing for you because you're not coming at it as a professional. You're treating it like you're an amateur. So I say, if you treat your business like a hobby, it's going to pay you like a hobby. If you treat your business like a hobby, the people are going to see you as a hobbyist. They're not going to take you seriously as your subject matter expert in the areas of. You've got to be willing to do your work, right? To quote the great Iyanla Vanzant, you must do your work. It's not easy, right? In this world, in this life, you will have problems, but it's sorted out. When I say my prayers, one of the things I like to add is I say, God, I'm just praying and just asking you to come into my boat. And I got that from a pastor when I was in Atlanta, and I would go to my mom's church in Lawrenceville. And that just connected with me all of these years, because you know what he's saying in that moment? He's not saying, God, I want smooth sailing. I want the calmest seas ever that you can send in life. What he's saying and acknowledging, because again, being a professional, you have to understand there are going to be ups and downs. When you ask God to come into your boat, what you're saying is, God, I know there's going to be some rough seas. I know some people along the way may get seasick, but God, I know as long as you're in the boat with us, this sucker's not going to capsize. We're not going to drown. So I'm asking you to come into my boat so that I can rest assured in the faith and the knowing that even if we have high sea swells, God's on board, nobody's going to drown. Hold on. There's the sick bag. God's on board. Somebody hashtag God's on board, please. That just like landed with me. God is on board. Ask God to come into your boat. Ask him to show you where you should go. Ask him to help you to get into alignment with his plan and his purpose for your life. That is where you want to spend the time. You want to be on a jet plane going to LA. You don't want to be hiking it. Sure, you can get to LA by walking, of course. Ain't nobody got time for that. We want to get into alignment and flow, because here's the thing. The longer we take to get our stuff together, the longer we take to gather ourselves up, our people are left out circling the desert, wandering, waiting for us to show up. But because we haven't done our work to become the professional and get to going, it's like the shepherd who's left his sheep. Your people need you. Your people are looking for you. Your people are desperate for you. So get into alignment, and get God on board. I love you guys so much. Yes, God is on board. Like, doesn't that feel amazing? Good morning, Brenda. Oh my gosh, beautiful Brenda from ATL. God is on board. Right? You've seen those signs, baby on board? God is on board. Glory. Do the reflection this weekend. Ask yourself these questions. Am I in love with the thing that I'm doing right now? Can I see myself doing these things 20, 30 years from now? And if not, it's okay. This is like when I say the GPS, right? That recalculating, it's going to recalculate you. It's okay. Have no fear. Have no fear. Ellen, my love, I thank you. I thank you for your presence. I thank you for your attention. I thank you for participating so well. Share this with your colleagues, with your friends, with your families. Juliet, my love, thank you. Thank you. Because so many people need it. This is what I'm saying. This show's mission, the mission statement is inspire into action. I come on here every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, with that sole intention. God, give me a good word to help keep the people moving. Because as I like to use my analogy with the cement truck, when you see that cement truck rolling around town and that barrel's moving, right, you understand that there's cement in that barrel going from one construction site to the next. That barrel has to keep moving because why? The minute that cement stops, it's going to settle and it's going to harden. That's just its nature. So in order to prevent that and give them time to get to the next construction site, that barrel has to keep moving. I want you to be that barrel for your life, for your business, for your brand. Just keep it moving. Just keep it moving. This morning in my mastermind with my mentor, David, he was talking about just move. Like he literally said, if you're feeling stuck, you're like, he's like, physically move, get up, go for a walk, go stretch, go do some plank, physically move your body. Because he said a lot of times when you're circling the drain in your mind and you get stuck, and he told the story about his dog who was basically abused. He rescued him, but he was basically abused. It was just only used for breeding, and they kept him in a cage around like female in heat. So all he ever knew was like, be caged up, go, have, relations with a female dog. And that's all, that was his life. So he was tortured in so many ways. And so when he was rescued, he had this like thing, like all he would do is just like spin and spin and spin and spin. Because in his mind, he was still in the cage. He was now free. I mean, Let me tell you, my man, he lives good. He is in some palatial unknown estate. I mean, he is the joie de vie. His dog has the charmed life. He's got a house manager who like does all kind of things for the dog. But yet his dog still in his mind, I'm caged, I'm in the crate, I'm trapped. Even now he's in this palatial estate, spinning and spinning and spinning, spinning, spinning. This is what we do. I want you to hear me say, you're no longer in the cage. You're no longer in the crate. You're free. You're free to follow the calling that God has on your life. You're no longer caged in by people's expectations on you. You're no longer in your parents' home where they're going to tell you, do this or else. You are no longer in that cage. So your mind needs to be free to see, to think, to be, to explore, to ask, God, what would you have me do? You're no longer under their government. My house, my rules. You know what I'm saying? But just like his dog, even though physically the environment he was free, in his mind, he was still trapped. So don't be trapped in your mind. And the way to do that is just to physically move. He said the trainer, when he got the trainer for his dog, said when he starts to spin and just like go on tilt, he's just spinning. He's like, literally get him on his leash and take him for a walk in a straight line. You got to like train that out of him. It starts spinning. Let's go. We're going for a walk. Until gradually over time, he realized, heck, I'm free. I don't have to spin around like I'm in some cage. So release your mind, free your mind. Now you have room to think like, ooh, I'm free. What was my design? What was I supposed to do? Because now I'm no longer anybody else's rule or anybody's expectation. What am I supposed to do? Now you have the freedom to go straight to the path of what your assignment is. So with that, thank you, my love, Brenda, for sharing that. I am so grateful. I want to remind you, if you are not a part of the Savvy Branders Tribe, I want you to go search that now on Facebook and ask to join. We do all sorts of amazing branding stuff within that group and just, encouragement, again, to help you move forward. So it's the Savvy Branders Tribe. You want to definitely go be a part of that. And if you are not in the Brand Accelerator program, which is a digital course plus training in the live, in the Facebook group with me, for life. Did I forget to say that? It's a lifetime program. You pay a one-time $97 fee. You're in for life. You have me as your coach for life. As long as I breathe and as long as you breathe, you're in this program. We do monthly Q&A sessions, 90 minutes, where you ask any questions about the course, anything about what you're doing with your business, with your brand. We do monthly challenges to help you get into momentum, get into action, get into the actual practice of what it means to build a brand and to show up powerfully and confidently in your brand. Right? We do things to help you with your Facebook lives, how to show up, what to say, how to do your branded intro. It's so good. I don't even need to sell it. It's $97. The thing needs to sell itself. So you can go to appsumo.com. There you see the link, or if you just comment below right now, accelerator, comment below accelerator. And in your messenger, you will receive information about it and you can check it out for yourself and get more information. So I love this. Amber says, yes, ma'am. Yeah, we have to move, because here's the one thing that he even said as well too is, let's say you were in a car and your car stalled on the train tracks, like right across the tracks. And you're going to sit there and go, I don't even understand this. Like, what happened? Like, we just fixed the alternator. We spent like $200. I don't understand that. And I don't know what to do now, because now we don't have, like anybody who's around to like give us a jump. And you sit there and you're circling and spinning and discussing the problem of, I don't understand that. That guy ripped me off. He said it was going to be, totally fixed. And now at some point soon, there will be another train coming. And if you don't get off that track and sit there talking about the alternator and who was a hoodwink and who tried to rip you off and what they charge, you sit there talking all that nonsense, there is another train approaching. Sooner or later, ma'am, you need to move off the track. All of that spinning and circling, none of it. So you think about things that you know that you're supposed to be doing and you don't do it. And you're like, I don't ever understand it. Like, they said that this thing was going to be this, and I don't. Sitting and staying is not a strategy. You must move, 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 move. I don't care what happened or how you found yourself in the place that you find yourself. You must resolve and be determined to move. The train is coming. That's all that matters. We can sort out who was the nefarious, mechanic who gave you the bogus accelerate, whatever you call it, alternator, who gave you the bogus alternator, who said it was, warranted and it was like a used part. We can sort all those details out later. Right now, your car is stuck on the train tracks, and we can't sit here and discuss that because another train is approaching. We must move off the track now. Good morning, Sprinkles. Yes, ma'am. Giving away the time that you cannot get back. Breathe and keep it moving. Move. We need to stop living in the past. I gave you this story before from this movie that Mark Wahlberg was in, and it was the story of they were at these army brigade or whatever in Afghanistan, and one of them got shot by the Taliban, and he was like, "Oh, Captain, I got shot," and he looked at him and said, "You're living in the past." The man literally just got shot, and he said, "You're living in the past. Let's move, keep it going." I was like, "Wait, what?" Yes. Let's stop living in the past. Who did what to us, when, why, and where, and whom, and how it was unfair, and all those things. Read one of my favorite books, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. The favorite line, life is not fair, and don't expect it to be. Because when we walk around with these expectations, well, it ought to, and therefore it should. No, ma'am. Don't expect it to be fair. We use these things as fair, and don't expect it, because then you're going to set yourself up for challenges. Just be open and ready to say, you know what Jim Rohn used to say, when people promise to do something and then they do it, or if you invite them to a meeting and they didn't show up, don't go, "Oh my God, I'm going to give her a piece of my mind. Does she understand how many people I could have invited?" And he said, just go, "Isn't that interesting?" And keep it, what? Sparkle says, keep it moving. We don't have that time to be chasing butterflies. No, ma'am. Keep it moving. You invited them, they didn't come. Okay, right. You know what? Next. You did a live and only 5 people showed up. You know what? Great, wonderful. Next. Did you deliver what you said you were going to do? Did you do the thing that God told you to do, deliver the message to his people? Did you do that? Okay, good. Next. Move, keep it moving. I tell this story, I'm going to wrap this because I'm like way over today, but like God just was like speaking to me. So I just had to keep going. Be aligned into the authenticity of what God created you to do. And even when seemingly challenges may rise up, see them as an opportunity to solve something. Don't see it as a problem that's going to be here to put you down. Your challenges are here to strengthen you. King David, favored nation, servant of God, would not have gotten that status, wouldn't have gotten that recognition, wouldn't have been exalted to the point of where he got exalted to if he did not have a Goliath. Can somebody say amen? Did you hear what I just said? King David would not be the exalted King David that we know if he didn't have a Goliath in his life. He would have been where? What? Still tending sheep with his dad, Jesse, just hanging out, doing whatever. When the Goliaths in your life present, you mount up, you arm up, you ask God to go ahead of you. And you what? You keep it moving. I love you. If you're not in the accelerator program, just comment accelerator below. These are such important times that we need to get about the getting of our business. 540,000 people every single month found a new business. This is from a statistics and small business stat. 540,000 new businesses are formed every single month. And if you don't get about the business of building visibility, standing out, do you know what a stampede looks like? Do you know what invisible looks like when people are looking for your service and they can't find you because there's 25,000 other people in front of you, but because you're not doing what Jesus said, put your lamp on a lampstand so it can be seen. You got your lamp underneath here, underneath the desk, underneath your bed, and the people can't find you. Get your light ready to shine. Comment below, accelerator. I love you guys so much. I will see you back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Go out and make it a fabulous day. It's a beautiful, glorious, wonderful day that the Lord has made. And what? We will rejoice and be exceedingly glad in it. I love you guys so much. Mwah. Ciao.
No one ever sees me,